What's going on, Buffs fans? It's David here again, talking everything CU Buffs football, Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, and everything in between. Today, focusing on a very special video that's about our special teams units. I know one of our commenters a few videos back wanted to see a video talking about the kicking competition between Mata and Jace Feely. But I thought, I'll go ahead and talk a little bit more about special teams as a whole, what I'm predicting, what I'm excited for, and all that. But of course, before we get started, if you like what I'm doing, talking CU Buffs football, all from the perspective of a local alum here in Colorado, would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe, that like. Let me know in the comments where are your expectations for special teams. Would really appreciate that. We're on our way, on our road to 1,000. So let's go ahead. Let's get into the fun stuff. Now, I have to preface this all by saying I don't think I've been more excited to watch special teams at this upcoming spring game on April 22nd than I am right now. Usually special teams isn't something that I can get very excited about, but I feel like right now with all the different players that CU's brought in, I'm definitely excited to check out special teams, and this is definitely an instance where no matter where you're playing out on special teams, you have to be special to play special teams. So let's go ahead and talk about our kicking game. Now, where have we been in the past? We've had Cole Becker as our kicker the last couple years. He was one of the higher rated kickers coming in 2021. He kicked as a freshman here. He did struggle 70% his first year in 21 and was 2 for 6 in the 40 range, which you really need to be money to be a strong college football kicker hitting that range consistently. But this past year in 2022, he definitely took a step, was 5 of 6 in that 40 range, but was 0 of 1 from 50 yards in over. He was 3 of 4 the year before that. But I liked Cole Becker as a kicker. Now, once we brought in Alejandro Mata from Jackson State, he entered the transfer portal. I wasn't sure if those two things were correlated or not because the transfer portal had just opened recently. But Cole Becker actually moved across the Continental Divide to Salt Lake City, where he is going to be the kicker for the Utah Utes this upcoming year. So still kicking in altitude, and wish him the best. It will be good to play him again this year. Hopefully the Buffs will give Utah a run for their money this year. But now we have two kickers. We have Alejandro Mata as well as Arizona State transfer Jace Feely, who is the son of NFL kicker Jay Feely. Now, Jace Feely's coming in here, I believe, as a redshirt sophomore, was on campus for Arizona for a couple years. I believe only kicked one extra point, didn't get much playing time, but definitely has a leg. I think he was the 13th or 14th rated kicker in his class. And this position group, I really don't know what to expect because Mata has been consistent. You should go watch the Coach Prime documentary on Amazon. They spend an episode talking to Alejandro Mata. He has a great personality. I'm excited he's on campus. And it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out between him and Jace Feely. He has been very consistent. Let me pull up his stats right here so I don't get it wrong. But his career long, if I'm reading this right, is only 38 yards. So we don't really know how he's going to perform from the 40 to 50 yard range, which of course, being in altitude, being over a mile high in Boulder, he should benefit from that. Again, I'm very excited to see how he kicks at the spring game in April. But to me, it seems like Jace probably is the one that has the stronger leg out of the two kickers. But right now, we don't have much data to go off of in terms of measuring consistency with him because he hasn't played. So we'll see how this all shakes out. My guess is that Coach Prime will go with Mata initially, and we'll kind of see how his leg holds up. But would love to see Jace Feely get that opportunity because from what I've seen on YouTube, he has a huge leg, and combine that with altitude, and that's like NFL type kicking talent we're talking about, or ability we're talking about. So we'll see how that goes. Now, In terms of kick and punt returning, obviously CU now has a ton of guys that have the capability to do that. If you've watched any of my other breakdowns of guys coming in, transferring in, or part of the 23 high school recruiting class, Coach Prime's brought in a lot of guys that play in all three phases of the game, or at least on two, where they're returning kicks. Now, this hasn't really been talked about a lot. I haven't watched a ton of Jackson State, so maybe some of you Jackson State fans could help give me a little bit more perspective in the comments. I'd appreciate that. But I haven't been able to pick up any returning statistics online for some reason of Travis Hunter. Was he not returning? Because I know he's talked a lot about, since coming to CU, going after that Heisman. And in order to do that, you need to be playing in all three phases of the game to kind of get that recognition, that notoriety. I would hope that we see him start at both receiver and cornerback full time. I know that's probably a lot. I don't even know if he did that at Jackson State, but would love to see him on the field as much as possible, and that includes special teams. I think he's probably, our most dynamic athlete, so I would love to see him back there returning. But if not, I would expect Jimmy Horn Jr. to be the next favorite to be back there returning punts and kicks, just because he was so successful at it during his time at USF. Another guy, again, it depends on recovery, but has shown that he can do it, has been Jordyn Tyson. He was a dynamic returner for the Buffs last year. Again, go check out my highlight tape if you're not familiar with Jordyn Tyson. But I think as a fan, if I'm just talking from a fan perspective, I want to see Travis Hunter on the field as much as possible. So I want to know, what are your expectations, Buffs fans, for the special teams? I'm sure we'll have more of an idea with how spring practice goes on kind of maybe the direction the Buffs are moving towards for some of these positions and roles. Now, I almost forgot the punters. Of course, CU brought in a transfer punter from Louisville. His name is Mark Vastest. He averaged about 45 yards a punt last year. That's 38th in the nation. And he had 2 inside the 20. So we'll see what this shakes out between him and current Buffs punter Noah Hubbard, who is a local guy from Louisville, Colorado. So we have Louisville, which is just outside of Boulder. We have Louisville, which is where Mark Vastest, Australian. He's one of 3 international Buffs, actually. Only one from Australia. Then we have Seydou Traore and then Taylor Barracks, both from London. So I would expect to see Vastest as the starting punter. We'll see where that goes, mainly just based on experience. Let me know in the comments who you want to see. Again, thanks for checking out my video. Hit that subscribe. We're building towards 1,000, and go Buffs.